Greetings, I'm the Bulgarian Troglodyte. So today I'm gonna do this quick video on 3 Japanese directors that I forgot to include in my favorite top 20 Japanese directors video that I did a couple of weeks ago. So as often happens when I compile these types of top lists very quickly, I tend to forget some directors or some films from the lists. That also happened with my top 50 favorite films of all time list that I did like 2 or 3 months ago. I forgot I think 2 or 3 films from that list. The films being I think Erospas Massacre by Kitsu Yoshida and then La Chinois by Godard, and there might have been even a third film that I forgot. But anyway, so there were 3 directors that I forgot from this top 20. And here you can see the top 20 again very quickly. So I think now I would have actually replaced these last 3 directors here with these 3 directors. So on the original list we had Masahiro Shinoda, then we have Matsumura, then we have Satoshi Kon. And I think I do prefer these 3 directors, which are Shunji Iwai, Akio Jissoji, and Shōhei Imamura, to these 3 directors. And I think I maybe would have put even Jissoji and Iwai above Teshigahara on the list, but Teshigahara would still have been on the list. But again, these 3 would have been replaced if I didn't forgot these 3 directors. Anyway, I'll just talk about these directors a little bit in this video, and I'm gonna keep this video very short. But yeah, Shunji Iwai is a director that I've really enjoyed watching some of his films in the past, like I would say few years. I mean, his most famous film, All About Lily Chow Chow, that one I had seen a bit before the others, but then on the last few years, I think since like 2023, I've watched some of his other films, like the other ones that you have on the top row, and then Hannah and Alice, and this is the live action Hannah and Alice, because he has also made this anime Hannah and Alice, which I haven't seen yet. Yeah. But I haven't seen all of his films. I think the big one that I haven't seen yet is Swallowtail Butterfly. I've heard really good things about it. It's sometimes available on YouTube, but I think the YouTube copy had like a bit of a copyright issue, that some of the film music had to be kind of cut from the YouTube copy of this film, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I haven't watched the YouTube copy yet, because I want to experience the whole film, both the audio and the picture. But I mean, maybe this is available on like Internet Archive or something with the whole audio track, but I'm not sure currently. But films from him that I really love are Picnic and Hannah and Alice. And Hannah and Alice I actually just recently watched again. And Picnic at least used to be on 1080p on YouTube. And it's only like I think 75 minutes long or something. So very easy to watch on YouTube if you're interested. Yeah. So these 2 films I love a lot. But I'm also a big fan of Love Letter. Then this one I had some mixed thoughts about, but overall my view of it is that it's a great movie. So it's a Bride for Rip Van Winkle. And this is one of those films that I feel like when I watch it again, it might very well become a favorite. It was one of those films. Then the latest one that I watched was April Story, which is one of his 90s films, and I like that one quite a lot. And the Love Letter is this really beautiful, sentimental, melancholic film. And I think this would be a good place to start. And what actually reminded me about Shunji Iwai for this list and for this video was this film that I watched on Netflix after that, after I made the video on this list. So this film is called 18 times 2 Beyond Youthful Days by Michihito Fuji. So this is like a co-production between Taiwan and Japan. But in this film, uh, Love Letter by Shunji Iwai plays actually a pretty big part of this story. Like there are these two characters you see here that go on a date and they watch Love Letter together, and then the film also kind of appears later on the film. So that reminded me about Shunji Iwai for the list, but I should have remembered him without that reminder because I think about Shunji Iwai quite often, and yeah, so I'm kind of weirded out on why I kind of forgot about him. But I also liked his acting skills in a Hideaki Anno film called Ritual. He's the main male lead on that one, and he does a good job on that film. But if I talk about him in general a little bit, so I absolutely love his visual style. He has this very hypnotic, kind of ethereal quality to his visual style that I love. And he chooses these angles that kind of they feel like very right for the film, even though the angles can be a bit off-putting in some films. I think especially in a film like Picnic, some of the angles, some of the visuals in general have this like a slight off-putting feeling to them, but he just manages to make every image so hypnotic and beautiful and something that really draws you in. And then, like the vibe in his films, I already mentioned kind of melancholia and sentimentality. I think both of those things are something that you usually find in his films, but the sentimentality isn't that kind of cheap Burger King sentimentality that you have in Hollywood films, but it feels like a very authentic and beautiful sentimentality. And that's kind of a thing about Japanese cinema, and I think also Taiwanese and Korean cinema, that they actually managed to do sentimentality really well. Because in Hollywood films, the sentimentality often feels like inauthentic and also laughable. So, often when I watch mainstream Hollywood films and Oscar bait films and stuff like that, I actually laugh at the scenes that are supposed to be sad because they feel so manipulative and so cheap and inauthentic. But in Japanese films, the very sentimental stuff actually often makes me very emotional because the characters, the style of the filmmakers, and everything just sells the sentimentality way better than their Hollywood counterparts. Yeah, but a great, great filmmaker. Would highly recommend it. Recommend his films. They aren't well accessible through kind of official methods, but you can often find his films on YouTube and Internet Archive, and I think even maybe the Rare Film website. Yeah, and sometimes you can often even find them in like 1080p quality. And I think All About Lily Chow Chow is available on Blu-ray in the US. Yeah. And then we have Akio Jissoji, one of the great Japanese new wave filmmakers, part of the ATG studio. I've only seen 4 films from him. Again, the Buddhist trilogy that I have on Arrow Blu-ray, which you have here. This Transient Life is the first part, then Mandara is the second part, and then Poem is the third part. And then the box set that I have also includes this film. It Was a Faint Dream. This one I've only seen once, but the actual trilogy I've seen a couple of times. But these films are extremely challenging, taboo breaking, off putting, transgressive, and they are films that I don't necessarily understand very well, but the aesthetic is something that I love. That sense of, I think some of the films, especially Mandara, has this kind of sense of dread in the atmosphere that I really like, and they have this kind of very awe-inspiring kind of way about them in a very dark and transgressive way. I mean, I think the awe-inspiring word often uh, brings to mind like kind of happy images and stuff, but this is kind of awe-inspiring in a very bleak and dark and weird way. And I think in the trilogy, particularly the first two films are absolutely amazing. This Transient Life and Mandara. Mandara probably being my favorite. And then Poem, which is a bit more accessible, is my least favorite, but it's still like a 9 out of 10 type of type of film. But he's the type of filmmaker that I can't really recommend him to average per to an average person because his films are just so challenging, so different and weird, and they have lots of again off-putting stuff like again some violence and yeah, and then like just the incomprehensible nature of the films can really put off many people, of course, but it doesn't put off me. Yeah, but would highly recommend the films from him that I have seen. Then we have Shōhei Imamura, of course. He's maybe in the West the most well known out of the great Japanese new wave filmmakers. But he's someone I've really struggled with, actually. I mean, I think I've liked every single film from him that I have seen, but many of them have disappointed me a little bit because I've gone into many of the films with very high expectations, and then the films didn't always meet my expectations. Best example of that is the Ballad of Narayama, a film that you have here, because I thought that the plot synopsis and the idea of the film sounded so fascinating, but then there was something about the execution that I didn't love, although again it's a very strong film, even though it was disappointing. But then the more of his films that I have watched and the more I have engaged with them, then I've started liking his films more and more. And then I've been able to find some five-star films from his filmography as well, like Vengeance is Mine and The Insect Woman. Those two are the ones that spoke to me the most. But I think Pigs and Battleships is very strong as well. Profound Desires of the Gods is a feast for the eyes. Such a beautiful looking movie and great in general. The Eel I liked quite a lot. One of his later works. The pornographers that you can have on Criterion DVD. This one I liked quite a lot. Black Rain and Intentions of Murder haven't seen yet. Man Vanishes haven't seen yet. Warm Water Under a Red Bridge haven't seen yet. So there are still lots of stuff from him for me to watch. But yeah, all of his films are either good or great. A very consistent filmmaker, even though I have struggled with some of his films, but even when I've struggled with them, I've always been able to tell that these are very good films, even though sometimes I've kind of lacked that personal connection with his films. But yeah, overall, what a strong filmmaker. Made so many interesting movies, very challenging films as well. Yeah. But those were the three directors that should have been here in the end of the list. Yeah. But let me know some of your favorite Japanese filmmakers, and you can let me know what you think of Shunji Iwai's work or Akio Jissoji's work or Shōhei Imamura's work. I feel like that particularly with Shunji Iwai, his films are becoming more and more popular in the West, probably largely due to Letterboxd, because people I think have really discovered a film like All About Lily Chow Chow on Letterboxd, where it has kind of become a modern classic. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Don't drink Coke at all. Sayonara and arigato gozaimashita.